Okay. So as we said, I just want to sum. With balanced hands, we have a very easy solution. 12 to 14, we open one no trump. 15 to 17, open a suit. Then no trump. 18 to 19, 20 to 22. But what do we see here is that we always go 3-point range, almost always. The range that the range of accuracy, let's say, okay? We want to keep the same level of accuracy even when the hands are stronger than 22 points, okay? And that's where the two clubs comes in. So therefore, up to 22, we don't need the two clubs, we have the two no trump. From 23, so 3 points, 23, 24, 25, we will open two clubs and rebid two no trump, but when partners usually bid two diamonds. 26 to 28, we bid the same two club, but the rebid will be three no trumps. And if we are lucky enough to get 29 to 31, once in a decade probably, you will rebid four no trump, which, as mentioned, Barry, is a natural bid. It's not a Blackwood or something like that. Just showing a balanced hand with 29 to 31 points. Okay, so that's balanced hands. The second part was semi-balanced hands. Okay, and semi-balanced hands is when we have two double tones. Okay, so we saw, let's say, something like this. With semi-balanced hand, it's up to you to decide whether to treat it as balanced or not. So you can come and say, I have two double tones, usually 5, 4, 2, 2, but I want to treat this hand as balanced, and then go with the exact same table here and basically implement it here. By the way, remark, you can even add a point. Remember, with the 5-4, we discussed it, I think last week, and evaluation. So for instance, if I have 19, okay, I can treat it as 20 and still open two no trump, because the 5-4 distribution can give me one extra point for length. But that's not the key. The point is, do I treat my hand as balanced or unbalanced? If I treat it as unbalanced, I have to either bid a suit, so let's say one spade in this case, or if I feel that I'm too strong for one spade, I have to go with two clubs. Okay, so that's up to you to decide. And as we mentioned, if you have 5 major, maybe you'll be less enthusiastic about bidding no trump, because then partner doesn't know that you have 5 spades. So let's say if the 5 card was a minor, it's a bit easier to treat it as no trump because you are less interested in the minor. And anyway, if you bid 2 no trump, let's say partner can still use Steinman and find out about the 4 card spades. And one more parameter is the strength of the double tones. Double tones, weak double tones means that it's a bit more dangerous to bid no trump, and then you might decide to bid the suit rather than no trump. Again, the decision is yours. And as I mentioned before, you don't have to make the same decision. Okay, it's not like that you have to say, okay, when my hand is semi-balanced, I will always bid no trump, or I will always not bid no trump. In each hand, you can make a different decision based on the hand, based on the situation, based on your mood. Okay, so that's semi-balanced hands. And then we went to unbalanced hand when we have a single tone. So not extreme unbalance, not like voids or to say something extreme, that we are going to start soon. But I have a single tone. Once I have a single tone, it's extremely not recommended to open with no trump or rebid with no trump. Okay, because then you'll simply send the wrong message to your partner. What yes? Either bid your longest suit at the one level or bid 2 clubs. If you feel that you're too strong, let's say from 22, as Barry mentioned, with 21 we have a problem. And at the moment, this is the only option. And as I mentioned, in 2 weeks, we will discuss the Benji convention, which solves the problem and basically give us a special bid to say, listen, partner, I am in between. I have about 21 points, 22 points, 20 points, unbalanced hand. I cannot bid 2 no trump. I'm a little bit too strong to bid 1 in a suit. I'm a little bit weak to open 2 clubs. I'm somewhere in the twilight zone in between. And that's a special convention that we will discuss in 2 weeks. A nice one, very something to, even if you won't implement it soon, as I mentioned, it's nice to know, I think. So that brings us to, unless there are any last questions, it brings us to the last stage, which is to discuss hands that are extremely unbalanced and positions where the two club could be used in special positions. So any last questions before we get to that? No. Okay, so imagine that we have something like, that's I agree, it's extreme, okay? It's not something that is likely to happen, definitely not frequently, but it could happen. It could happen. Even that's for the jack, let's be generous. Okay, no, let's do this. Okay, so as you can see, this hand is much more distributional. Hey, we have two singletons, we have 7 spades, 4 clubs. The hand is very extreme. And in this case, what we want to do is try to evaluate the hand. Those hands are very difficult to evaluate in the sense that you can count the points. In this case, we have 20. You can add points for length, maybe for the 7 or for the 4, or for the combination, maybe 2 to 3 points, but it's still not going to really tell you how strong you are really. I mean, it's something that it's much more difficult to count in numbers, okay? And what we prefer to do in those scenarios, okay, is to count the tricks. And that's a different concept. And that's a concept that can help you generally in slam bidding or in bidding in general. It's not something that could be used always. You need to have special hands for that, for at least for an opening bid. But sometimes it can be used later on in the bidding. Basically, you are trying to already imagine or assess what's going to happen in the game and how many tricks potentially you're going to win. That's playing tricks, okay? Playing tricks, basically, I'm saying the following. Let's assume that my partner holds 0 points, 0, not even 1, okay? And a balanced hand, okay? So his hand is completely, cannot help me in any way in terms of points, but he doesn't have like a void or something extreme. Balanced hand, 0 points. That's what my partner has. That's the assumption. Based on that assumption, I'm trying to count / assess / evaluate, okay? How many tricks am I going to win here? Obviously, in this case, spade contract, yes? Assuming that I'm choosing spades. That's very likely, yes? So what do you think? How many tricks can we win in a spade contract? Try to count. Imagine your partner holds, here, let's put the partner's hand opposite, so maybe it will be easier for you. So let's say doubleton spades, 4 little hearts, 4 little diamonds, okay, and 3 little clubs. 0 points. Nada. Partner is not helping you in any way. Nothing. Okay. How many tricks can we win? Okay. Try to think. I'll give you some time, and then we'll do it together. Okay.
I think 10.
If you know, you can say. May says 10. Okay. If you think you have an assessment, you can say. I'm happy.
11.
11, yeah.
Yeah, 11. Yeah.
Okay. Berin Caroline says 11. May says 10. Okay. Shoshi, Debbie, do you want to assess? You don't have to, only if you want. I'm not forcing. It's a non-forcing position. Okay, tough. Let's see. We are playing a spade contract. We draw the trumps. We have 9 spades. Opponents have only 4. So after playing the ace, king, queen, jack, would you agree that opponents wouldn't have any spades at all left?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how many spades can we win here? We have 7.
7.
7.
We will win all of them. Ace, king, queen, jack, and after that, the rest are ours. probably. Okay, so 7 tricks in spades, easy. In hearts, we have the ace, 1 trick. In diamonds, obviously nothing. And in clubs?
Yeah, I miscounted. It should be 3, isn't it?
Oh,
It's 3.
Well, in the club suit, you don't have the ace. So if the opponents will play the ace for us, then it's easy. But if not, I will have to use one of my high cards to force out the ace.
Okay, so I was right.
I cannot, so, I mean, it's a problem here. So let's say I've used my king to force out the ace, okay? And then I've established my queen jack. So 2 tricks, I will definitely win in the clubs. That's not a question. What about the last club left here? This little 2 of clubs?
It depends on how they're set up.
Exactly. Maybe I will win it if the club splits 3 and 3, okay? Or if the opponents play the ace of club early, or let's say there is a chance. I cannot count it as a winner, but let's say 50-50. Fair enough to say 50-50. If we go for 50-50, we can count it as 2.5 tricks.
Having said that, it's unlikely that they're balanced when you're unbalanced. It pretty much takes everybody off, doesn't it? When you're
but one of them might have 6 cards in hearts, and one of them might have 6 cards in diamonds, and then most of them will have 3 clubs. That's A. And B, when you run your spades, one of them that holds 4 cards in clubs might discard the club. Also. And C, one of them might lead the club and play the ace, and then you'll play the 2. There are many scenarios where you might win this 2 of clubs. There are scenarios when you won't. That's why I said 50-50. I didn't say 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're all right.
You should treat it as a chance. Okay. It's not like having this. Okay. If it was 1 second. If it was sorry. Okay, sorry. If it was this, then I agree. Then it's only 2 tricks. Then there is no way to win more. Okay. So here I would count 10 tricks, but the extra cards in club makes a difference. You have a 4-card suit. Or you know what? Another scenario. Partner has the 10 of club. Maybe it's not points. Now you have a trick 100%. Okay, because the 10 is part of the sequence. So from my hand, I don't know. Or if my partner holds the ace of club, then I'll definitely have 4 tricks in the club. Okay, so don't forget that for the assessment, we assume 0 points from the partner, but he might have points. It's not necessarily 0 points. Yes, let's say I hope that he has more than 0, hopefully. In any case, in this scenario, I would count 10.5 tricks. Okay, now. What's the bottom line here? If I open 1 spades, the problem is that my partner might pass. Definitely if he's very weak, okay? And if my partner passes, I'm not happy. Why I'm not happy? Because I can make a game, and I missed the game, okay? So the playing tricks concept help us to determine whether we have a very good chance to make a game, even if partner is very, very weak. That's basically the goal of counting the tricks. And remember one interesting fact. The points that we count are not the goal. It's not the goal. The points are a tool. It's a tool to determine how many tricks you can win. It's not a goal to say to have the points. It's not relevant. Okay? At the end of the day, you are bidding for tricks and you're trying to make those tricks. The way that you manage to make them, whether you had a lot of points or not, doesn't matter. What matters at the end of the day, how many tricks you bid for, how many tricks you won. That's it. No one cares, no one counts how many points you had. Okay, when the game is finished. They count one thing, how many tricks you made. That's what makes the difference. Okay. So in this aspect, this method is much more accurate than points because it tells you the bottom line immediately without any in-betweens like points or distribution or shortage or length. Tricks, that's what we need. That's what we are bidding for and that's what we are trying to win. And in that aspect, playing tricks or counting tricks in general is the most accurate assessment method. Problem is extremely difficult to do when, in most cases, and definitely when you can't see your partner's cards. Okay, usually we count the tricks when we can see the other hand. That's a different story. So if you have a hand that you feel, and how to realize that, you should look at the cards and see whether it's a hand that the way that it lays, the way that it's distributed, the way that the high cards are located makes it relatively easy to count tricks right away from your hand alone. And sometimes it happens, like in this case, like other cases. In the notes, there are more examples that I would definitely recommend to go over and to see how I counted it, and to practice that when you have hands. I mean, when you play random and you'll run into hands that are a little bit possible, try to see if you can assess. It's not frequent that you'll have hands it's so easy to do it, but you know what, even later on in the bidding, when your partners, let's say a preemptive hand, sometimes you can do, let's say you have 7 cards in hearts, preemptive, we can open 3 hearts. Those cases you can also assess a little bit. So okay, I have, let's say you have queen jack 7 times hearts. Okay, after I lose the ace king, I'll probably win the rest. So maybe 5 here. You have a king or an ace, maybe 1 here. Assess the number of tricks that can help you in determining how high to go, for instance. How risky is your bid? Whether you are in competitive bidding, let's say. The thinking about the tricks could be interesting. Think about it. In some cases, it could be very helpful. Now, for the definition. The definition of 2 club opening bid is 9 playing tricks or more. Okay, so if I have 9 or more playing tricks, I will open clubs. Okay, why 9 and not 10? Theoretically, you would have said 10. So 9, because if we're talking about a major and a trump contract, you need 1 trick from your partner. And by the way, 1 trick doesn't have to be the ace. 1 trick could be, in our case, could even be the 10 sometimes, or a king or a queen, if it's in the right location, okay? Or definitely an ace. And if we are talking about no trump, so theoretically 9 tricks are enough for a game already, okay? Of course, that if you go to 3 on trump, you are exposed for them leading a suit that you don't have, and they will completely slaughter you. That's a different story. I'm not saying that it is guaranteed, okay? But the concept is this: if we have 9 tricks, we feel that we are too strong just to open 1 in a suit and risk that partner will pass. And by the way, it's not only partner will pass. The other problem with hands that are so strong that it will be very difficult to describe such a strong hand, and then you might miss a slam. Partner doesn't know. So if I open 1 spade and then let's say repeat my spades and jump in clubs, partner will take me for 17, 18 points, 19. Not such a strong hand. So that's another problem. Even if you'll beat the game, you might miss a slam, or miss a game, or miss a slam, or basically, we feel that opening 1 in a suit does not convey the strength or the real strength of our hand. That's the definition of 2 clubs. Okay, too strong to open 1 in a suit. Okay. Okay, so last remark before I'll give, of course, time for a question is this. We mentioned the Benji 2 diamonds, so the twilight zone, yes, the hands that are in between and problematic. So they could be also defined as about 21 points unbalanced, and exactly you are in between the 1 and the 2 clubs. Another way to evaluate, so if I have those type of hands, I can also use this special bit. And here, I'll show you a potential hand. So something like that. So now that's here. And let's say shesh, sheva. Okay, so let's say something like this. This hand is, in my opinion, strong enough. Okay, so we have 6 tricks in the spade suit. Okay, 1 trick in the heart and 1 trick in the club. Correct? please, this will be a bit more. With 8 playing tricks, okay, this is not 8 plus, 8, around 8, because more than 8, obviously you'll open 2 clubs. That will be the special Benji. So I still feel that I'm a bit too strong to open 1 spade. Okay, with 8 tricks. It will be, I might not miss a game if I'll open 1 spade, but I'll definitely not describing the strength of the hand. Partner wouldn't understand that I'm that strong. And those hands are also defined as in between the 1 in open, 1 in a suit, and the 2 clubs. This is not strong enough for 2 clubs, but it is a little bit too strong to open 1 spades. I mean, if you don't have other options, you will open 1 spades, but how would you describe that your hand is that strong? Just rebidding your 3 spades, let's say, doesn't really convey that you are so strong, okay? So the Benji, okay, this special convention that we will discuss in 2 weeks will, basically we will see how to show those type of hands, whether it's the points, whether it's the tricks. The playing tricks count could be relevant for not only for 2 clubs, it could be relevant for other options like the Benji 2 diamonds, or later on in the bidding to assess generally how high to go. Okay. Good. Any last questions before we finish? Okay, so let me just sum again. We have done it now from balanced, which are the easiest basically, because they are very determined. You know the points, you know what you are doing. Okay. Semi-balanced, which is up to you to decide. Less balanced once you have a single tone or something that obviously you can't bid no trump, and then you have to bid the suit or 2 clubs. You don't have the in-between unless you use the Benji. And the extreme unbalanced, where the most accurate to evaluate would be counting the tricks if possible. If not possible, if the hand is not always, it will be easy to count the tricks. So you can go with the points and with the hand evaluation of the length and so on, okay? And choose based on that. But counting the tricks will be more accurate, if possible. Good. Okay. Last questions before we finish, please. We have time for more questions now.